Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Tim Richards, Technical Services Manager of the Managing General Agents Association, and on behalf of the MGAA, I'd like to welcome you to our briefing this afternoon. This is being delivered by Safely on the subject of outsourcing your fleet risk management. Before I introduce our presenters, I'd just like to run through a few housekeeping points. Please ensure your microphone and camera are turned off. If you'd like to ask a question, feel free to use the chat button at the bottom of your screen. Time allowing, these will be asked and answered at the end of the event. If we run out of time, questions will be answered post-event. The presentation is accredited for CPD points if relevant to your ongoing professional development program. This briefing is being recorded, and a link to the recording will be issued post-event together with the slides and our feedback survey. Please take the time to complete our survey, which will take no longer than 2 minutes. This allows us to deliver the best possible future events to our membership. So to recap, today's briefing is on the subject of outsourcing your fleet risk management from Safely. So let me introduce you to our presenters, Jack Manning, founder and CEO, and Andrew Fleury, founder and chairman. Having worked with hundreds of fleets and seeing the variance in high performance and poor performance in relation to accident history and safety, Jack set about to build Safely, a solution that allows all fleets to reduce accidents and improve driver behaviour. A BSc financial and holding a professional diploma in fintech, Jack brings an analytical approach to safety. Understanding the need for simplicity and ease of use, Safely is a company that combines technology and expertise to reduce accidents. Andrew has spent the last 2 decades exclusively dedicated to the fields of telematics, fleet management and intelligent vehicles. This includes 15 years as the CEO of Transpoco, the leading telematics provider in the Irish market, with customers in more than 60 countries. Andrew has a keen interest in the future of transport, mobility and driver safety. He is currently the president of the One Telematics Alliance, a European thought leadership group. He is also on the steering committee of both the Vehicle of the Future, VOTF, and the Connected and Autonomous Vehicles, CAV, industry groups in Ireland. So without further ado, enjoy the briefing, everyone, and over to you, Jack.
Thank you very much, Tim. Thank you for the introduction and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the webinar on outsourcing your fleet risk management by Safely. Thanks for giving up your lunch break, and I hope to give you something interesting that you can take back to your organization that would benefit you ultimately in improving your fleet risk management. Just continuing on to the first slide around learning objectives. So learning objectives today, my aim for today is that you'll be able to leave here and be able to describe the challenges faced by fleets in relation to improving driver behavior. We've worked with many fleets throughout the years, and we understand the challenges they face and the hurdles they must overcome. I'd also like to be able for you to walk away with an ability to explain the benefits of outsourcing your fleet risk management and how it can impact your loss ratio. At the end of this, you'll also be able to summarize the key elements of Safely offering and unique selling points. I'm taking this opportunity to introduce Safely to the MGAA members. And then finally, to outline how to correctly incentivize safety to reduce accidents within your fleets and kind of the key elements for success in improving your fleets. Let's first of all start with a question. So to our attendees out there, how would you currently describe your fleet risk management process? Don't do any, needs a lot of improvement, good, but areas we can improvement are great. Yeah, okay, Tim, we can probably end the poll there and continue. That's kind of a lot of what we're seeing at the moment. Yeah, needs a lot of improvement. I think a lot of MGAs out there in similar fashion know that they should be doing risk management around fleets. They do some bits and pieces, but they know that there's a lot more that they could be doing. So just quick background into Safely, myself and Andrew. So the speakers. So yeah, as Tim said, I am CEO and founder of Safely, having worked with many fleets out there. What really struck me when I was working with fleets is kind of the accident rates between very similar fleets and the variance between those. So Safely was born out of that frustration of seeing fleets very high performing and fleets very low performing with very similar resources and structures and vehicles and everything. My background is I have a Bachelor of Science in Financial Maths and a professional diploma in FinTech, but I'll hand over to Andrew to describe himself.
Yeah, thanks, Jack. My background has been in kind of fleet telematics really since for all of my professional career. And yeah, I think just to echo what Jack said, I think the opportunity to greatly reduce loss ratios, reduce accident frequency is there. What we've really done with Safely is we've looked at many fleet managers, both good and bad. And what we've tried to do is to analyze what are the key steps that the good companies take and how does it impact. And really we've joined the dots and see the pattern. And really what we're trying to do then is to, for somebody that's good on safety, we're trying to give them another edge, make this a tool that helps them be more productive and more efficient and then really, double down on those good habits. But then I think for the majority of fleets, they don't spend any or enough time in this area, and we're going to give them really from a standing start. We're going to get them to a really a position of excellence in terms of how their fleet is operating in a safety perspective. Back to you, Jack.
Great, thank you. So our mission at Safely is simple. We want to reduce accidents in fleets by combining technology and expertise. And we feel the expertise bit here is an area that's left out of a lot of solutions. They're very technology heavy and often expertise is not also applied. Our mission is pinned to 3 key metrics. 1, accident frequency, 2, accident fatalities, and 3, accident severities. And we're looking to reduce them by 30%, 50%, and 30% respectively. And that's really where we want to get to as a company. We want to be able to have that large an impact across all fleets in terms of their frequency, fatalities, and severity. And we are doing this, as I said before, by combining technology and expertise. And so moving on now to describing the problems and why so many fleets can't control their accident rates and why a lot of your fleets out there have poor accident rates. Having talked to so many fleets out there, there's kind of 4 key issues that kept popping up. Now there's 2 or 3 extras outside of that that were common enough, but I suppose to be concise, we kind of nailed it down to these 4 issues of 1 was costs and incentives. This was a key one for a lot of fleets out there. The return on investment for a lot of fleets was not strong enough or was not being described well enough for them to really make that investment in safety in terms of money and time. And then the incentives being offered out there weren't strong enough. So a lot of insurance companies weren't providing a strong enough incentive to be able for a fleet manager to go back to his team and say, look, this is something we need to do. Then we also saw a problem around time requirements. So every fleet manager seems to have this problem that they're too busy to take on another bit of work for safety, and hence safety kind of gets pushed by the wayside and they prioritize other areas of operation. Now that doesn't mean they did not say they prioritize safety. It's just when you actually looked into it about how they acted and what they did day to day, safety was not one thing high on the list. The next thing we saw was a lot of fleets did not have the health and safety experience to make an impact. They didn't know how to ingest the data, first of all, what that meant, and then they didn't know what to do to change how the data was, how to change the data and change driver behavior. In a lot of cases, fleet managers, they're not health and safety guys. And when we also saw fleets that had a health and safety team, the companies that had a health and safety team, they didn't really understand it from a fleet side, a fleet operational side. So then the health and safety experience for a fleet just wasn't there. And also at a fleet manager level, driver discontent was a big issue. Now, from what we've seen and the work we've carried out, if you correctly manage the implementation of a safety program, the opposite we found was true. Drivers are very happy to take part. Then I suppose 5 and 6, not included on this slide, would be data quality, so where fleet's getting the correct data, and then 6 around accountability, who was really accountable for an accident within an organization. The structure just wasn't there. Andrew, I'm not sure if you want to add anything to that, or...
No, I think that covers it well, Jack. I think overall it is something that that most fleets struggle to resource correctly, and then that the results, unfortunately, are accident rates that are higher than they could and should be.
Thank you. So just a bit about what Safely does, how we do it, and how we set about to solve the problems that we saw out there amongst fleets. As I said before, Safely combines expertise and technology, and all Safely's programs are underpinned by these 4 key areas. Driver behavior data. This allows us to be targeted in the actions that need to be taken. Without the driver behavior data, it's far too general, the interventions that a fleet can make, and it's far too general, the learnings that they can provide their drivers. We have a risk expert group. We've built a risk expert group within house. This is the expertise bit I talk about, and these are a group of people with fleet experience and data experience, so they understand the driver behavior data that a fleet is ingesting, and they understand how to make an impact within the fleet. We have a Safely driver app that automates intervention and ultimately gets driver engagement. And they're kind of the 2 key things. Number 1, getting driver engagement. If you can get them to engage with their data and understand their data, that's key. And then 2, if you can automate intervention and automate learnings, that's huge. And then we also understand that every program must be customizable, because every fleet has specific requests, every fleet has specific difficulties, and you need to be able to be flexible to their needs. So just a bit about those pillars. Driver behavior data, where do we get it? We get it from the current telematics solution. So we will integrate with the current telematics providers that are within that fleet. So we're not asking for an installation process to occur here. We can get this data through aggregated data, or we can get it through API. It all comes with caveat that the data needs to be of high enough quality, because sometimes the devices out there just aren't of a granular enough detail for us to be able to make a meaningful impact. We have a strong partnership with Transboco Telematics, which means if a fleet, one of your customers is looking for a new solution, they're not happy with their current one, or they're looking to get telematics in, our partnership with Transboco allows us to quickly and efficiently do that. And then we have a Safely mobile app where we can pull the driver behavior data from. This comes with difficulty. It's your sole source of truth. As you can imagine, pulling the data from a mobile phone does come with issues. So we tend not to do that on solely through mobile telematics, but it can really be a good addition if you have a device in the car or connected car data, and then you're layering on top the mobile telematics as well. To talk a bit about our risk expert group and our in-house group of experienced risk managers that understand the fleet and understand the data, they kind of work across 4 main areas when we get a new fleet on board. The first thing they do is they will design the program, so they'll customize the program for that exact fleet. So the very first step when we onboard a fleet is we go in and we interview the managers, we interview the fleet drivers, we look at the data, and we really get an understanding of how the fleet operates, so that we can design the initial program that will be as effective as possible. The next thing they do to help is that they look at how they can implement the solution within and how they can make implementation smooth for the fleet. Something like this is easier said than done. That's why our risk expert group goes in and manages that whole process so that the transition is smooth. Sooner or later, if you leave a fleet to itself, it will revert back to its old ways. You will see the fleet disengaging with the program. You'll see the manager forgetting about it. You'll see the drivers just saying, oh, that's just something the health and safety department is doing, or that's something that the company has to look like it's doing. So a key element of this risk expert group is that they're constantly monitoring the data and ensuring that the constant improvements are being made in driver behavior and obviously in accident rates. And then refinement. So we know the first iteration will need refinement. If you want to constantly eke out improvements, the risk expert group has to be there to make slight tweaks and changes. So one, the drivers aren't getting comfortable basically. So initially you'll get great results and then the drivers will get comfortable and will see, okay, this is just something that's happening in the background, nothing really happens. And so unless you're constantly refining and improving the program, a fleet will revert back to its old ways. Excuse me. And so yeah, just on to the Safely app. So the Safely app is the one-stop shop for all things safety for the driver. This is where the driver can get information on how he drives. This is where the fleet will automate their driver interventions and training. So the Safely app is there to automate driver interventions and training and to get that maximum driver engagement, which, as I said before, is the key element of how we get that benefit and how we improve that accident rate within a fleet and how we change drivers' behavior. The app provides the fleet and the fleet manager with all the tools necessary to change dangerous driving behavior, whether it be through whether it be through checklists, that's getting them to look at their data, ask questions about how they're driving, where they're looking to improve, whether it be through automated alerts. Alerts can be set based on speeding, on harsh acceleration, depending on the data we're getting through. Whether it be through automated messages, could be safety tips, could be anything to do with, look, we noticed you were speeding recklessly in this area, please stop. And then there are also notifications. You can provide a notification direct to the driver's pocket through the Safely app. Through this, we also give feedback to the driver on their scores. So a driver can go into the app and see exactly how they're driving, can get the stats on their speeding, can get the stats on their harsh braking, harsh acceleration, harsh cornering, can see where they're ranked within the fleet, can see their driver score, all that stuff that a driver needs to know to be able to take action on how he or she is driving. They can do targeted e-learnings through the app. So this is where if we identify a certain driver is having a problem with braking, they can be targeted with that. Or if we identify drivers having issues speeding on certain roads, they can be targeted with that. So the layering on the driver behavior data on top just allows you to be far more targeted in your interventions and your learnings. And then, as I said before, yeah, there's ranking analysis, so driver can see how they're performing compared to their other drivers in their fleet. And then there's driver rewards being done throughout the app. There's a few more features that I won't get into right now, but basically, if I was to summarize the Safely app, it's a way of automating your driver intervention and training to change poor instances of driving behavior. So enough about Safely and more onto how MGAs can help and how you can eke out those improved loss ratios and how you can improve your fleet's accident rates. So if you're looking to improve your fleets and your commercial motor book, there's 4 key areas I would urge you to look at, especially when you're offering a risk management solution. Number 1 is correctly incentivizing any program you do. So having a clear ROI for the fleet is essential, whether that be through a rebate system based on hitting certain loss ratios, whether that be through an LTA with reduction triggers based on hitting certain accident metrics. If you provide the fleet with a strong enough reason to invest in ROI through those kind of premium reductions, maybe year end or however you want to do that, a fleet manager will have a far easier time pitching the idea to his organization and getting them to invest in safety. Without that clear ROI, and a lot of what we see is, yeah, if you reduce your accidents, your premium will come down next year, but there's nothing set in stone. So if you can put into a contract a clear ROI for the fleet, getting safety into that fleet and getting them to engage with safety will be a far easier job. It has to be a low effort solution. So adding hours of work to a fleet manager's job, no matter what the ROI, obviously relative, will make it a far more difficult sell. So if you're going into a fleet, the solution has to be very much low effort. It can't be admin heavy on the fleet manager side unless there's an ability to take the tasks off the fleet manager. Excuse me. So yeah, just to reiterate that, if you are putting workload onto the fleet manager, it would want to be a very big ROI because, as I said before, they're all under time pressures. On capital costs, it would need to be minimal or as low as possible. It must not require high upfront capital, as one, they'll just rather spend the budget elsewhere, or they'll need to spend the budget elsewhere, or two, it just makes it a far more difficult decision if they have to spend upfront. So they'll have to go get, it'll be a far easier decision for the fleet manager or the finance team if there is minimal capital cost and upfront cost. And then finally, this is a tougher conversation, but if you can incorporate some form of penalization into it, you will find a far greater engagement from the fleet manager or from the safety champion within that fleet. So understanding this is difficult and something that needs to be treaded carefully, but if you can impose a solution where if the fleet is not engaging with the program or the safety or the risk management solution, there's some form of penalization. I don't know how you'd correctly do that, but that would get a lot of engagement from the fleet manager. So just to reiterate and go back over those 4 key things. Have a clear ROI for the fleet. If they can see, right, if we hit this accident metric, we will get X, and all we have to invest is X minus Y. That's a very compelling argument for a fleet manager when making it to the finance team. Low effort, it must be low effort. So a fleet manager will not take on workload as a result of his already hectic schedule. Minimum capital cost, it's a hurdle. If the ROI is there, yes, it will get through, but it's a hurdle that makes it more difficult for a fleet to impose if there's a high capital cost. And then penalization, something, as said before, you need to be careful with. But if you can put in place a system where if they don't engage with the process, there's a penalization, you will find great results. You will get great results from that. Andrew, I'm not sure if you want to add in anything or that.
Yeah, I think you've covered it there, Jack. It's about making it easy for fleets to do it. And I think if we look at the traditional solutions of how do you improve your safety, you either engage in training, telematics, toolbox talks. All those things require effort from the fleet, and it's difficult for them to do that on a consistent basis. So really what we've tried to do in Safely is to make everything there, and once the fleet commits and signs up, we take it away from there. It's kind of the concept of like having a personal trainer. We'll get you through it, and it makes everything flow a little bit smoother.
Exactly. So, Tim, another poll, do you currently offer any incentives, and more so upfront incentives or clear ROI for improving risk management for fleets improving their risk management? Okay, good. So okay, perfect. So 67% have said no and 33%. And I'd be interested, obviously not looking for an answer now, of what kind of upfront or clear ROI MGAs out there provide for their fleets for investing or improving the risk management, rather than waiting to see how the accident history unfolds or how the accidents unfold. So next on to the benefits of fleet risk management, and a lot of these will be obvious, but at the same time, I think we see, while the benefits are obvious, it's interesting as to why a lot of MGAs out there and why 67% of the MGAs in this have said, no, we don't actually offer upfront incentive, or no, our processes need a lot of improvement, our risk management needs a lot of improvement. So at the moment, we've seen one, and the obvious one is improving your loss ratio. The ROI is out there for MGAs to invest in a solution. There's a thought out there that, look, the improvement in profitability is offset by the cost of this solution. From our side, we believe that's complete myth. There is solutions out there that at the end of the day, they cancel each other out, and that's okay. But what we've seen with the growth of technology and the growth of AI, we're seeing, no, absolutely not, that there is so much scope here for you to improve your loss ratio and improve the profitability. Grow your GWP, so by attracting new customers and retaining your old customers through more competitive, cheaper premiums. The other thing that kind of gets forgotten about is also this becomes very much a value-added product for your customers. So yes, a key thing is getting the insurance premiums down and getting the accident rates down, but knock-on effect of doing those things, you see a massive improvement in fuel and maintenance. Because one, just a quick example, a key thing that we do is we stop speeding, or we reduce speeding massively. In doing that, you get a far better fuel consumption. And that we've seen that throughout a lot of the fleets we've worked with. You also see maintenance. So we'll impose vehicle health checklists to make sure that the vehicle is roadworthy. And that just highlights massive and stops problems becoming bigger problems, because now their problems are being reported to fleet managers a lot quicker. And then, of course, the maintenance cost of accidents. The benefit is also protecting against new market entrants. We're seeing a lot of new data-driven entrants in the likes of, excuse me, in the likes of Zego, Flock, Human AI. Even the incumbents are investing in how to incorporate this sort of data into your underwriting process and your pricing process. Fleets, majority of your fleets out there will have some form of invaluable data coming from the vehicle, coming from a device. It's just about using that data to be able to offer reductions to them and be able to improve your underwriting process. so that, again, going back to this, you can improve your loss ratio as a result of having this data. And then, yeah, what we're seeing is the improved data, getting this invaluable data on your customer that will allow you to make better decisions going forward, whether at inception or whether at renewal. Having this data on your driver, on your fleet is invaluable. And we're seeing this with the new market entrants and how they're using their data to be able to really select risks and be able to offer that a far more competitive premium than what's out there. I will get to a case study, and Andrew, I'll ask you to talk a bit about this. You're probably more involved, but Octavo was a customer that came to us that had roughly 600 vehicles. They had huge rising premiums. They had a problem with accidents. They had a poor accident history, and they're getting very close to uninsurable, and so they applied safely. And what we hit was figures we're very happy with. We saw accident frequency reduced by 41%. Serious speeding, so that's 21% plus over the speed limit. We saw those instances come down by 72%. In terms of harsh events, so that is braking, cornering, accelerating. We saw a complete drop in those, 87% reduction in those over 2 years. And then in terms of accident severity, that came down 45%. So just to reiterate, we saw 41% accident frequency reduction, 45% accident severity, and they were both contributed by the fact that they reduced serious speeding by 72% and harsh events by 87%. If I look at it from the fleet's perspective, that resulted in year 3 now we're seeing about a 45% reduction in premium. They've hit a 10% fuel consumption reduction. They've hit a maintenance reduction of 20%. So their return on investment has been huge for them. Being able to hit those figures has completely changed how the fleet has been managed and how the fleet is operating and the profitability of that fleet.
Yeah, and just to come in on that, obviously this was a huge success. I think the the keys to the success is the joining up of everything. So with a fleet size of about 600 vehicles, you can imagine there's quite a management layer, and that's where the safety program, I think, is quite unique, because we try and engage at every level. So within Octavo, their structure is that they split into quite small groups. So a manager might have 10 or 15 or 20 vehicles, and then that hierarchy of safety reporting reports there. So we're looking at data from the vehicle and driver, but then that flows through to, well, is their manager engaged enough, and are they partaking in the process? And by having that full flow right through the system, you kind of have that flow of accountability, and once you have that, it really does work. And then as an added bonus, Octavo got the ROSPA Fleet Safety Technology Award for 22 and 23. I think the numbers that we achieved are quite compelling, and it was great to get that validation of the ROSPA award. So we're delighted with that.
Yeah.
And then maybe just finally, the numbers, we wanted to make sure that everything was accurate, and that it was a good case study. So we did have it verified by a third party to go through all the numbers and to look at everything through an actuarial lens.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, this is where I suppose you can deploy a technology-only solution by putting in a dash cam or putting in a driver-facing cam. But it's when you get to any kind of size of fleet, above 10, 20, that's where you need to be layering on top the expertise bit that our risk expert group brings in, because you can't just deploy a technology-only solution in these fleets. there needs to be the customizable element, and there needs to be the understanding of how the fleet operates. Like in Octavo's case, the understanding of how the fleet was broken down by section and group that allowed us to actually hit these kind of figures. So no, I think it's testament to the work of the risk expert group and testament to the safety solution that we were able to hit those results. And so again, just to describe the learning objectives and what I hope you got out of today, I hope you're able to describe the challenges faced by fleets and you've improved your knowledge in how to improve driver behavior with your fleets. I hope you're able to explain the benefits of outsourcing your fleet risk management and how it can impact your loss ratio. I'd love if you now have a better understanding of Safely and our unique selling point and what we offer and what we do, and then how to correctly incentivize safety and how to correctly help your fleets reduce accidents. And then, yes, if you would like to know more, here's my contact details. Again, thank you for your attention. Thank you for turning up. My email is jack@drivesafely.ai. My mobile number is there. And if you'd like to reach out to me on LinkedIn, please feel free. We're just going to move on to questions now. If anyone has any questions, please submit them to Tim, or I'm not sure if there is any questions that have happened so far, have come through yet.
There is, Jack. Yeah, there is one. So if anyone has any other questions, feel free to put them through on the chat facility. But this is the first one. What is the average size of the fleet you currently work with?
So the average size of the fleet we currently work, it's very broad. I'll more so answer it by saying we'll look to work with a fleet that's 10, 20 plus. Anything below that can be difficult to deploy with, and it's really the solutions that our unique selling point doesn't become very unique in terms of our risk expert group below 10, 20 vehicles. Then we've worked with fleets from 10, 20 all the way up to the 600, 700 of Octavo size fleets. So I know that doesn't give an exact number, but what I'm trying to say is we can work with any fleet above 10.
Thanks, Jack. I've got another question for you. What have you seen the new market entrants do? How do they use data?
So in terms of the likes of the Zego, the Flock, the Human AI, what I've seen them do is being able, obviously they have the pay how you drive, pay as you go, usage-based insurance. But what I'm really starting to see is that they're able to offer monthly rebates in some of the cases on the driving as a result of having the driver behavior data. So take Zego for example, they offer a monthly upfront monthly rebate based on your previous month's history by your driver score. So their telematic, their driver behavior data, they have a driver score, and depending on what you hit, you get up to 5% reduction in your monthly premium. They also do based on your loss ratio. So monthly, they can offer you up to 7.5% based on how you're performing. And then I believe their other key thing is time to reporting accidents. So if they can offer up to 2.5% on how fast you report an accident to them. Other thing we're seeing is a lot of what these guys do is they provide a portal or a nice looking web platform where a fleet can see exactly how they're performing. So a fleet manager can go in and see vehicle X performed poorly and had this poor score. Vehicle Y was driving these roads and had a poor score because of. So they're just getting very granular level detail into how each individual fleet is operating, and they're also providing that information to fleets so that they can take action on that data.
Thanks, Jack. And another one for you. How much variance do you see with fleets which have higher proportion of agency drivers?
Yeah, so in terms of agency drivers, we're seeing large enough variance, but again, within agency drivers, it's very much the profile of the driver. So yes, in terms of if you're to map it on an average, they would be on the lower side of average in terms of accident history. But even within agency drivers, there's quite a variance of depending on the profile. So younger drivers, obviously, as we all know, have a problem. Or yeah, look, I could go on for days about the various the problems amongst those, but yeah.
Just to come in on it as well is the way the program is structured. To a certain extent, we can pinpoint high risk and at risk drivers very, very quickly, and then it covers a little bit of the last question, because there's two ways to look at this. Is that you're pricing risk, and you say, okay, well, these are the dangerous drivers, but really with Safely, we want to go to the next step, and is to reduce that risk and to improve them. So even if they're an agency driver, we can show them really after the first day's driving, where they sit relative to their peers, to the rest of the fleet, all of those things. And that, I think, is our objective in Safely, is to firstly highlight to the driver where they're at, and secondly, how they can improve. And it should happen pretty quickly. After one day's driving, we have enough data to give you coaching as we go forward.
Thanks both. Next one for you. Have you found drivers to take poorly to safety programs, or companies monitoring their behaviour?
Yeah, no, we haven't. If correctly managed, we haven't. So it's not a case of just slipping it in and not telling the drivers, or trying to put it in without the driver's attention, or just getting it past them. If you are completely transparent in your implementation of why you're doing this, what the benefits are, how this is going to operate, if you give them a period of consultation around letting them express their concerns, we've found the exact opposite, that drivers are very much willing to do this and want to do this, as we all want to improve our driving behavior and improve our safety. So just to summarize, it's about being transparent and open with the drivers and getting their feedback and answering their concerns.
Yeah, I think just to add to that, really we sit on top of telematics data. So the majority of fleets have a telematics system in place already. So the idea that my employer or my manager can see where I am, all fleets are doing that now for productivity reasons. So we're taking the data and putting it through a different funnel for safety. But really, I think it's quite a mature and established concept that a fleet would have a telematics device in it. And because we just sit on top, really that conversation's already been had.
Great, thanks both. And final question at the moment is, how would you recommend we work with the broker on topics like this, as in most cases, they own the relationship with the fleet?
In terms of working with the broker, what I'd recommend there is identifying the brokers that are very much open to this sort of thing. If you can correctly control the narrative that, yes, look, there's only upside to this, brokers will very much be willing to work with you on this. They should be willing to work with it. They should have their customers' interests at heart. So it's about ensuring that they understand that there's only upside for their customer, and that, look, there's not a downside to you providing this data to us, or to the fleet providing this data, because that will be their biggest concern. If I provide this data, could it be a case that you actually won't want their fleet, or you won't want this, you won't want to take them on? So yeah, that's how I control it. If you can make sure that they understand that it's only upside, because once you start bringing in any downside at all, they'll start to get a bit worried that their fleet will not benefit from this, and will see disadvantages.
Great, thank you. And that's the end of the question. So I don't know if either of you got any last words just before I close.
I'd just like to thank everyone for attending, and I hope you got something out of it. If you want to know more about this, please feel free, or if you just want to have a general conversation about risk management, fleet risk management, please reach out to me on details on screen.
Yeah, and I just echo that. Thanks for your time. We really appreciate the opportunity to talk today, and we're very much on a journey to reduce the number of accidents. So we'd appreciate anybody reaching out or conversation. We'd love to connect in more detail and talk to you a little bit more.
Thanks both. And just to close then, thanks so much for your presentation today, Jack and Andrew. Very interesting. Thanks also to all of you for joining us. Please don't forget to provide your feedback and do look out for forthcoming MGAA events. I do hope you all have a productive afternoon. Thanks again for joining us, and hope to see you all soon.